Good evening, District 91 and fellow Toastmasters from around the world. My name is Barry O'Connell. I'm your host for this evening's webinar, and with me I have Laura Bruce, who's your presenter. Rather than me take the limelight from the beautiful Laura, I'm going to hand over straight away to her for our monthly marketing masterclass, the series where we try to bring you the very best from industry, top tips, and all that jazz that will be relevant to you in building your Toastmasters clubs. But with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Laura Bruce, District 91 PR Manager. Laura.
Thanks very much, Barry. I should point out I'm not yet District 91 PR Manager, but I am the District 71 PR Manager, and I'm just completing my term with the handover to take place on Canada Day, the 1st of July. Thanks very much for inviting me, Barry. I hope this marketing masterclass will be useful to Toastmasters from around the world, because if there's one thing I've noticed is that no matter where the clubs are, we all have the same issues. We all face a number of common issues, and attracting members is one of the most common challenges that clubs face. And I will take you through the experience that my club went through just a few years ago, and some of the steps that we took as a committee of club officers and that I took personally to turn things around. So I have a PowerPoint presentation which will take you through the particular steps and give you images which I hope will be helpful when we're talking about particular things. So I will launch my slide presentation now. And I'm just seeing if everybody can see that.
No, we can't see your slides yet. I'll launch it for you. There you go. We can see it now, Laura. Laura? Hello? Well, it looks like we might have lost Laura. Laura, can you hear us or see us?
Just checking if you're able to see my screen. Terrific. There it is. Super. Now I can see it. Thanks very much, Barry. So the title of my presentation is Creating Membership Magic. And I created this presentation as a way of sharing the tools that we had used to build membership magic. And I first presented this as a workshop at the District 71 Autumn Conference in Dublin in November 2006. So I hope you'll find it useful. Probably good to start with the terms, defining the terms. So the presentation uses the term membership magic. I'm just having trouble advancing the slide. There we are. Tactics for Toastmasters is what we're talking about. So these are steps and tips and tricks that everyone will be able to use, whether you're a member of the executive of your club or just somebody who wants to help make a difference. So what is membership magic? For me, it's an environment where guests feel welcomed and members feel appreciated. It's the product of teamwork. It's an atmosphere where people are able to progress in their goals, to achieve what it is that attracted them to Toastmasters. And to do this requires sufficient numbers, because if you haven't got enough people in your club, you're not going to be able to try new roles, to take on new things. You won't necessarily have somebody to evaluate you when you do a speech slot. So having membership magic is a real benefit to having a club that helps you achieve your goals and your members to feel like they're achieving their goals. So how do you foster an atmosphere of membership magic? I think you have to remind members, all members, that no matter what their role is in the club, that everybody is an ambassador, both for Toastmasters and for their Toastmasters Club. So how do you do this? Well, one of the things is simply by making people feel welcome. So when you're at meetings, chat to your guests. Hopefully you're getting guests. And if you're getting guests, then hopefully you can also be comfortable talking to them and saying, what brought you here? How did you hear about our club? We always have a network break at our meetings. It's about 10 or 15 minutes, and it's between the two halves of the meetings. The other thing is just open the doors early and have somebody available who's not busy setting up. Somebody who doesn't have to set the tables up or hang the banners, somebody other than the Sergeant at Arms, and make it somebody who isn't afraid to walk up and talk to somebody, welcome them, ask them to sign the guest book. And apart from meetings, by spreading the word and inviting visitors to come along. I have no problem talking to people just about anywhere and inviting them to come to Toastmasters. I appreciate not everybody's like that. However, for me, it's very simple. But you can help people who might be a bit shy to give them some resources, some flyers, brochures. Our club is getting business cards printed, and also by having such things as open nights, which give people sort of a specific event that they can invite people to. So once you've got a sense of what that is, what we're going to go through today are the tips, tricks, and tools, as I've called them, to create membership magic. And these come into three broad categories. The first one is online and social networking tools. The second is offline, or as I like to call it, in real life networking. So that's people you meet in person. And then finally, public relations and media relations, because these are both very effective ways to attract visitors to your club. So we'll start with the first category. Oh, before I do that, I'll talk about our experience in Inverness. The reason I became so adept at this, that I created a workshop out of it, is because I got a phone call in April 2015 from our division director. Division S is my division. Division S is for Scotland. It's all of Scotland. And the previous day I had competed in the international speech contest. I'd come second. And there was a question about whether or not the winner was going to be able to represent Division S at the district conference in a couple of weeks. And so when our division director contacted me, I thought, oh, this is news whether or not they need me to go to Nottingham. That's where the conference was. And the conversation went something like this. Hi, Laura, it's Jerry. So this is Jerry Dunn, the division director. I said, hi, Jerry. Good to see you yesterday. Do you know if Jim's going to be able to go? He said, we're not sure yet. However, there's a problem. I said, well, what's that? He said, it looks like your club only has 7 members. And with only 7 members, you're not properly constituted, which means you wouldn't be able to compete at the district contest. So actually, I think this may have been just as the deadline for renewals was happening at the 30th of March. Might have been just before the beginning of April. And I said, leave it with me, Jerry. I'll look into it, find out what's up. Now, I had noticed that we didn't have a lot of people at our meetings, but I was a relatively new Toastmaster. I had only joined the previous year. I was just in Toastmasters 1 year at this point. I wasn't on a club officer, and I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know how many people you needed to have a properly constituted club. All I knew was that, according to our division director, we didn't have what we needed. So this lit a fire under me, because I thought, I don't want my club to shut. And being in the north of Scotland, where I currently live, the nearest club is 291 miles away. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't finish work early enough to make a 291-mile journey. Consequently, it was imperative for me to ensure that my Toastmasters Club kept ticking along. So that brought me here. So the question is, why grow membership? Well, obviously you want to grow membership because you want a club that's enjoyable. You want a vibrant club that's also sustainable. And if you're a club officer, you want a steady stream of new members so that they can develop their leadership skills, become club officers, have a tranche of future leaders ready to take the helm of your club. This is just prudent. If you're a leader in your club, it's called succession planning, and you ignore it at your peril. So there's a very good argument for self-interest there. One of the things you really have to think of is to put yourself in a potential visitor's shoes. So how will they find your club? Let's say they've heard about Toastmasters. They know that they want to develop their public speaking. They think Toastmasters might be the way. What do? Well, 95% of people today will go online. So they will conduct a search on one of the popular search engines. They will probably type in the town or city name and the word Toastmasters. So the things that they will find are probably going to be online. They might also search social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. They could ask their friends, and they might also look in the local newspaper for a listing of meetings. Many newspapers do this. What you want to do to attract people is to ensure that you are present at every potential stop on your prospect search process. And I call them prospects advisedly. People who might join your club are potential members. Every visitor is a potential member, theoretically. So every guest is what I think of as a future member. So you want them to be able to find you online. So you want to have a club website, and you also want to be using meeting tools such as Eventbrite or Meetup. You want to have a social media presence on at least one or two social media platforms. Club Facebook page is quite popular because it allows sharing of photos. Twitter also quite popular, and even some clubs have a LinkedIn page. The other thing which you don't want to neglect is word of mouth, and that is to talk to the people that you work with about Toastmasters. If you're not in a corporate club, they might never have heard about it. If you have just a community club, you can talk to your friends, your colleagues, people at networking events. I'm astounded how many times I go to a networking event and the speaker is absolutely appalling. And I don't say that to be unkind. It's just clear they've had no training. They're away representing some organization. They have a role, a leadership role where they're expected to speak, and no one in their organization has given them the help that they could benefit from by pointing them in our direction. Finally, the local newspaper is a great way to reach people, and you do this by having your VPPR or someone else send out a press release to let them know about your club meetings. So you want a presence in all those things. We'll go through these one by one, but I just want to remind you of three things. Membership is a process. Somebody doesn't just go from being a visitor to being a member. They follow a predictable journey. And that's something that once you become familiar with, you can use to your club's advantage. I've coined a term. I've probably going to trademark this. It's called the ACE formula. And the ACE formula captures the process that potential members go through. And your role in this process is to move prospects along. Simple. Here is my trademarked ACE formula for building membership. Now, before I explain each step, I just want to remind you, you may have heard Jean-Luc Godard talk about film, and he said every film must have a beginning, a middle, and an end, but not necessarily in that order. My ACE formula is actually AEC, because it's not necessarily in that order. We want to attract, and then we must engage before we can ultimately convert our members. So why become a member? Put yourself in the guest's shoes. Why would they want to join your club? What can your club give them that they can't get anywhere else? You must answer the question, what's in it for them? So if they're going to join your club, there have to be good answers to that. Think about what your answers would be to these questions if someone were to ask you, why should I join your club? So the first step in gaining potential members is to attract visitors to your club. Cannot be underestimated, the importance of this. Crucial. If you want new members, you must have visitors. You have to go through all of your club resources and ensure that each of them helps a visitor to find you and gives them a next step to take. What you want to do in terms of marketing or sales is to make the next step not frightening. So you want a contact form on your website. You maybe want a telephone number they can ring. You could have an Eventbrite listing for your club, and for every one of your meetings comes up as an event. You can have things on your Facebook that say there's a meeting coming up in a couple of weeks, guests are welcome. Twitter can tell people to come along to your club, and finally also LinkedIn. So these are your cache of online tools. So your club website, obviously, it's your real estate on the web. It's a valuable tool, but only if it's up to date and your details are accurate. So if there's an email address, make sure that that's a current email address and that it's somebody who answers their email, and make sure your meeting location, time, schedule, rotation is up to date and accurate. If you have recent events, put up a blog post, put up some pictures, recap things that have happened, and promote any upcoming meetings. Use photos to bring your site to life, and you can do lead generation for people who find you through their search engine and capitalize on that by creating a contact form. That means that you have an email address that you can respond to and send invitations to, with their permission, of course. So a contact form, this is an exact copy of an email that I got from a fella through our website in 2015. And I promptly got back to him and explained what he needed to do and where to go. Our location details were up to date, so it was simple for him to know where to go without me telling him. Eventbrite is a brilliant tool. What I like about Eventbrite, as opposed to Meetup, which is another kind of meeting tool, is people can scan Eventbrite for events particular to their area, but they don't have to be members of Eventbrite to look at things or to register to come along. There's no commitment. There's no joining up. There's nothing. Well, I suppose you could join up. You can create an account. But what you want to do is just have something where people can just click a button and say, I'd like to attend this event. So what you'll need to do is to create an organizer profile. Once you've created that, it describes your organization. There are all kinds of Toastmasters clubs on Eventbrite. If you find one with a good description, copy and paste. It's not rocket science. Keep it simple. Once you've created an organizer profile, then you can create an event. So make your next Toastmasters Club meeting an event. Date, time, put up a header. Describe what guests can expect. Also, remind them or advise them they don't have to speak if they don't want to. I think that's an important thing to say also at the start of your meetings. You don't want to scare people. And then make the event public. It's a free ticket. When they click, I want to go, you get their email address and they get a receipt via email that says that they have a ticket to this event. Really simple, very beneficial in my experience. We've attracted, I don't know, 60 or 70 people through Eventbrite, and we're in a very small community. This is a typical Eventbrite listing. So here's a picture, a bunch of friendly people. Our club banner, that's me standing beside it. I think I was president when that picture was taken. We actually have a guest in this picture on the other side of the banner. She came to us. She was a marketing student from India who did a placement here in the Highlands for 3 months. So she came to us for 3 months that summer. Little green button there to register. And I always gave the club meeting, I always gave the club meeting a catchy title. So this one said, become a better speaker and leader. Gave them the date and it gave them the club name. Simple. Facebook, Do I need to tell anybody anything about Facebook? I think people's DNA now is programmed to know how to use Facebook. Create a Facebook page for your club if you're one of the clubs, somewhere in the world that doesn't actually have one. Don't make it a group. Just make it a community organization page and make the other club officers editors of the page. Maybe make 1 or 2 people admins. Then again, create a Facebook event. You can also copy your Eventbrite listing as a post in Facebook, which makes it very simple. The benefit is on Eventbrite, you get their email address. So if they come to the club meeting and they say, oh, I saw you on Eventbrite, you can follow up with them with that email address and say, great to see you last night. Hope you enjoyed the meeting. You're very welcome to come along. Come along again. What did you think of the meeting? In case you didn't have a chance to speak to them. So anyway, that's the benefit of Eventbrite over Facebook. It's describe what people can expect, put up photos of past meetings, all the things you would do on Facebook. So here's our Facebook page for our club. Again, same picture as on Eventbrite. It enables you to invite your Facebook friends as well. That's a good thing about doing a Facebook event. And like I said, you can copy your Eventbrite event and paste the URL into your Facebook post. Very simple. Takes them to the Eventbrite page where they click register and you get their email. So Twitter. I'm not so convinced about Twitter, but it's just one more place. Some people link the Facebook post to Twitter, and I think this is a simple, low-effort way to at least keep a steady stream of Twitter posts getting out there. It automatically tweets your Facebook posts on Twitter. You can follow other Toastmasters clubs. The best things to do are use hashtags that include your city name, hashtags like public speaking, leadership, success, and of course, Toastmasters. There's our Toastmasters Inverness picture, and I think that picture probably hasn't been changed in a couple of years. Probably could be refreshed. You want to include in your Twitter profile basic information about when your club meets, of course, the city that you're in. That should also be in your Twitter username. The description of what people can expect, the venue that you meet at, and a link to your website. Easy peasy. You can create a LinkedIn group for your club, and people don't have to be members of your club, of course, to join your LinkedIn group. You don't have to approve them if you want. You can have the settings on your LinkedIn group so that people can just join. They're automatically added. You can follow Toastmasters International. You'll get a lot of good articles from them. These will be circulated to the people who have joined your club. It enables them to share your posts and add a personal comment. You can share the Toastmasters International thing and say, if this sounds good to you, come to our meeting next week at Canary Wharf. And you can create posts to your group to promote these upcoming meetings as well, rather than just forwarding shared posts. So that's what one post looks like, and we use that to promote our open night. So, real life networking tools. This is part 2 of our presentation. Has anybody got any questions about the first part, these online tools that we've been talking about?
Hi, Laura. Yes, we've actually had a question in from Florian, who's interested, especially in Eventbrite, whether you recommend copying Eventbrite events into Facebook.
Yes, I do, Florian. I think it's easier and more beneficial. By putting an Eventbrite thing in, you have the capacity to capture their data. And it says that they consent to being contacted by you. So you stay on the right side of the old GDPR fandango as well. So yeah, I prefer that because I think it is more all-encompassing. You can always do both. I'm a big fan of A/B testing. So you can do both and you can decide if that suits you. But it has been very beneficial for me to do that. You get them out of Facebook where they're easily distracted, and you get them onto another site that is more of a silo that they can't get too distracted by any other content by.
And I have a follow-up question to that I've been wondering about for a while. I'm about to take over as a VPPR, and with all of these various different platforms, it feels like I could be spending a lot of time manually doing the same kind of thing. So I'm wondering, is there a way to, for instance, create something in Eventbrite or Meetup or Facebook and magically have that appear in the other platforms in an appropriately formatted way?
Yes, there is, Barry. In Eventbrite, there is a little button at the end. Once you've created your event, there are a
Yeah.
couple of things you can do. You can copy and paste the URL into a website, and there's also social sharing. So you can share it onto your club's Facebook page automatically by clicking the share on Facebook button. What you will have had to do is to link your club's Facebook account with that Eventbrite organizer profile. In terms of Twitter, I have set up so that all the Facebook posts of our club are automatically sent out over Twitter. So that's killing two birds with one stone. The website doesn't change very much. You can always make somebody who's a bit of a person who likes to write or take pictures, give them access to the website. I say share the load. I think that that's one of the best things I learned this year in my role, my PR role, was to give other people the access to things because it's too big a job. The VP PR role is very big, and it can be a bit overwhelming trying to do PR, media relations, manage the Facebook page. I say give keys to the Facebook page to at least a couple of the other club officers, if not all of them, depending on their levels of literacy. Sometimes you'll have to go back and correct some of the spelling in their posts and things like that. But mostly people are fine and you just let them go. And if they mess up, you say, well, you're not great at the old Facebook. Do you want to do Twitter?
Great. And Adrian Lane had a question about whether you would publish club reports publicly or privately on Facebook.
Well, I think you need to know the temper of your club. I have seen a number of clubs publish meeting reports onto Facebook and onto their websites. And they will say things like, we had a terrific meeting last night at Thai Toastmasters, and there was a presentation to our outgoing president, blah, blah, blah. We had speeches from so-and-so and so-and-so. We had a hilarious table topics led by such and such. So-and-so got his competent communicator, and we all retired to the bar afterwards. And I think that is brilliant because it creates a realistic sort of encapsulation of what happens at a meeting. It shows that you recognize people's accomplishments and that there's an atmosphere of conviviality and support. And I think that's the sort of thing, it might encourage people to think, that sounds like a friendly place and I might want to go there. Because until then, what happens at a meeting is a complete mystery until somebody's gone. But by giving them that bit of an insight, I think you can help sell the club before they've even made it through the door.
Cool. I love that. I love that. Just on what you were saying earlier about the role of the VPPR being a big role, apart from that being a little bit off-putting, I do agree about the delegating and getting other people involved, especially people who may be not ready for a full role on the committee. I've said for quite a while now that if everybody does a little, then nobody has to do a lot. And
Yeah.
I think that applies for everything. There's no rule that says the VPPR must do everything related to public relations. The same for the VPE and education. Share the love. I'm all for that. So guys, please do keep your questions coming. We'll stop occasionally as we are now. I will pass the questions on to Laura. I promise to keep an eye on the chat room for her. We do have another question in now from Philip. Do you personally contact people in advance who like your Facebook page? Do you proactively monitor who's liking and maybe not turning up, for instance?
No, I haven't contacted anybody except those who have messaged our Facebook page. When people comment, I sometimes say things like, in the comments, I might say something like, Be great to have you back, Carol. How's the baby, for example? She went off on maternity leave. We lost 4 members to maternity. That was a real nuisance. I think there should be some provision for a creche or something. But anyway, so 4 of our members, and we've just gotten 2 of them back, which is wonderful. So for them, Facebook was a way to stay in touch with the club when they were at home and had other things going on. They could still see what they were missing, and they would like the things. So yes, there was that. But other than that, I would not use it to chase people who hadn't ever visited. I would just make it clear that people were welcome to visit.
Cool. So you've suggested there perhaps an idea for somebody who's looking to start their own club. Creche Masters, if anyone on this webinar wants to start their own club, there seems to be potentially a market for mothers. It might have to be an online club, and you say that it's a bit of a hassle losing them to pregnancy, not losing them, losing them as a member. I suspect that they have plenty of hassles of their own. Having never had a baby, I can't speak for sure on that, but I suspect.
You've seen people with babies, though, Barry. I mean, they look harassed. They don't look very happy. I think they could use Toastmasters.
Definitely. So we don't seem to have any other questions for now, Laura, if you want to continue, and I'll get off it.
All right, then. Thanks, Barry. Thanks for handing those over. The real-life networking tools, let's talk about these now. This is part 2 of the 3 sets of tools. So in terms of attracting people, you can host an open meeting, cross-promote with another organization. We hosted a meeting with Highland Business Women, which was very effective. We hosted a demonstration meeting, actually, with Highland Business Women, and we've also taken stands at local networking business exhibits. If you have some flyers, you can promote your open evening at these different events. And it's always good to plan your open evenings quite well in advance. Don't come up with one 2 weeks hence. You won't have really enough time to make the most of the tools that are at your disposal. So again, we're still talking about attracting visitors. So I would like you to now take some time and put in the message box what you're going to do to attract visitors, and just quickly, what one thing that you're going to do that's new to attract visitors, maybe something you've thought of before, but you've never actioned. So Barry, if you can let me know what people are saying, and I'd like to find out what tools they've picked up here that they might want to incorporate into their club.
Sure. And while we're waiting for them to catch up, because there's a slight broadcast delay, I'll tell you what I'm planning to do. And that is I'm planning to have members at the beginning of the meeting do just 1 minute to camera, and then we can post that on our Facebook page, the benefits of Toastmasters for them, how they've used it in their career, the enjoyment they've got out of it, etc., etc., etc. Every week have one, maybe even
just
2
put something in the chat box, and we'll just see where people are.
Did you hear me say that? No?
Anyone?
Hello, Laura. Did you hear me a moment ago? No?
I didn't know.
Okay. Well, I was talking to myself. Yes. Well, what I was saying was, while we are waiting for the broadcast delay to catch up, and please do keep your comments coming at the answer to the question, what will you be doing to attract members? Maybe it's something you've thought of before, or maybe it's something that you've just thought of this evening. And so while we're waiting for you to type into your computers or wherever you are, I'm going to tell you my plan, because I got this from Aletta Rochat in one of our previous masterclass or other webinars. And that is, I'm going to start recording members for maybe just a minute at the beginning of each meeting, 2 or 3 members maybe, speaking for a minute, saying the benefits of Toastmasters to them, why they joined, maybe how it's helped them in work, or maybe it's just been something that's been fantastic for them socially, and then post them to our Facebook group.
Did you hear a loud bang?
No.
Good.
Rory, who I suspect is I know Rory. He also, I believe, is starting as a BPPR in July, and he is planning to bring his Facebook group back to life. I think that's probably something many people will be doing in July.
Yeah, Oh,
Yep.
just a note about that. I think it's better to have a page than a group, because a group requires people to commit and join and be approved and blah, blah, blah. Whereas a Facebook page is something people can simply follow, like and follow. Lower threshold of commitment. It might help some people. So think about the nuances between those two before you commit yourself to one.
Excellent. And Nuala is planning a Bring a Friend meeting where every member brings a friend. I can imagine that could be a great way of doubling the club membership very quickly. Sounds exciting.
The other thing you can do on those Bring a Friend nights, Nuala, it's a great idea. One of the things you can do is, if your club has a little bit of money in the coffers, you can say 20% discount on membership fees for anyone who joins tonight. And incentivize them to join right then. Only tonight, one night only.
Yeah, I love that. That buys into the urgency, the fact that something's running out. So Jackie she's just sent out a message to our VPR and the existing and the incoming VPPR, reminding them of this webinar to watch out for the replay. So that's definitely something we can all do. This is a fantastic webinar series, and it'd be great to get more people involved who are VPPRs.
Super.
Barbara's planning to try out Eventbrite, and Adrian is going to try and get an advert in the local free magazine.
Well, there's a good point. Adverts, of course, are things you have to pay for. But when you send out a press release, it'll often come up as a piece of editorial content, a news item, which is free. So I think maybe Adrian's thinking of sending out something to try and get some media coverage. And that's the great thing about PR, is that the coverage is generated free of charge to your club.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's one of these community magazines where they'll publish your details for free. The Beaconsfield local, with a circulation of around 8,000 people.
Beaconsfield, is that near Ottawa?
Adrian will have to tell you.
All right, well, let's get back. We've
Okay.
looked at what we're going to do to attract visitors. Thank you, everybody, for your input. It's great to see the ideas percolating there. Step 2 in our ACE formula is to engage people. This is very obvious what this means. You want to have some meaningful interaction with them when they actually step foot into your meeting as a visitor. So you want to use the resources at your disposal to begin a relationship with your prospect. I describe this as a kind of courtship, and it's a courtship where success creates a win for both parties. Your club gains a member and they gain access to all of the tremendous benefits, the life-transforming benefits of becoming a Toastmaster. It really cannot be understated, the importance of this. So what can you do? At Eventbrite, you harvest their email addresses and you create a list called prospects. You can then mail to that list any upcoming event that you have. You click a button beside their name and you send them an invitation. You can also create a mailing list for your members, but I find that when I stopped sending to members, they stopped coming. So they were using the Eventbrite notices as meeting notices. So not a great thing. I say stick to prospects with Eventbrite. Let your club members keep their own diaries. And you can also see who opens your invitations. Quite helpful. So this is what it looks like. And you can see I had a couple of different lists here through different events I had done and people who were specific to those events. And you can target to different people that way. Facebook, obviously, you take pictures at your club meeting and you put them on Facebook. Just word posts aren't very effective, so you want to make sure you're putting pictures up, talking about what the pictures are. You can also share posts from your club onto your personal page, which I think is quite good, and you can personally let people know about upcoming meetings by pasting a link of the Eventbrite event onto your personal page. This is one. We had some first-timers come to our club. And so here is the post that we created. That's me in the picture with Phil, Lorna, and Kathy, and Amy. So they all came along and they all got first-timer ribbons. Twitter, just automatically tweet your posts. put pictures in your posts and then retweet them, tag your members and tag visitors, maybe tag the venue that you meet in, and then the venue will retweet your posts, your tweets rather. Again, here's something that we had. We put Toastmasters in the thing. This is a Facebook post that was retweeted or tweeted via our Twitter page. LinkedIn, create and share some posts that advise of the benefits Toastmasters, tag club members and share their accomplishments. You could say congratulations to Kath Finley, who got her Advanced Communicator Bronze last night. Put up a picture of Kath. Simple. It's all this stuff you're used to doing anyway if you use LinkedIn. Your club website, obviously, recap the meetings, bring it to life with photos, post about upcoming meetings, contests, great way to get some publicity for your club and also to attract people who might think, oh, I might like to take part in a contest. Real life networking at club meetings. So you want to engage with your guests because they are VIPs. You would, if you had the mayor or the chancellor of the university come to your meeting, you would make sure you looked after them. You want to treat everybody who comes to your club as a VIP. You want to match them up with somebody so that somebody can talk to them, ask them their name, make them sign the guest book, have them sit with them, make them go for coffee with them during the breaks so they don't just sit in their chair, bring them out of themselves, have a way to capture your visitors' details with a sign-in sheet and a guest book. Make sure your guest book is GDPR compliant. And make it easy to network. We do this thing, which I think I've imported from Canada, these stick-on mailing labels as name badges. We have a giant marker, so you just write their first name on the thing. I'm pointing at my chest here. Mailing label on the chest, big marker, first name, easy to read, so people don't have to get uncomfortably close to try to read your name tag. And then have permanent name badges for members. Makes it easy to network, makes it easy to say, oh, here, Bob, have you met Lucy? Simple. The other things you want to do at meetings is speak to the visitors yourself. Ask them if they've enjoyed themselves. Would they like any more information? Would they like an invitation to the next meeting? Would they like a membership form? Sometimes you can tell they're interested and it's not too forward. Let them know how many meetings they can come to before they have to make a decision about joining. Your president might say this at the welcome at the start of the meeting. You want to follow up with the visitors after the meeting by phone or by email. I find mostly by email is the best because then you're not intruding, and ask them personally if they would like to come to the next meeting. I offer people lifts. If I don't know if they have a car, I'll say, would you like me to come and collect you? Simple. So the other thing you could do, give them a souvenir. So simple. Get some of these first timer ribbons, buy them from Toastmasters International, buy 50 of them. That way you don't have to reorder, don't have to pay the shipping too often. And people go away, they put it up in their cubicle at work. People ask them what that is, and it's a talking point. They love it. Take their picture holding up their little ribbon. Ah, what a great idea. Here's one we made earlier. So Inverness Toastmasters, club name, visitor Lorna, me standing there. That was great. That went up on Facebook. So we're going to skip this because I think you can all think of about 100 things you're going to do to engage visitors, and we only have about 16 minutes left. Barry.
We had a question, and it was a question I was wondering at the same time. And that question is, how do you make a guest book GDPR compliant?
Well, you say to people, by signing the guest book, you consent to have your details shared with Toastmasters, this Toastmasters club.
Excellent. Fantastic. I know that there's been a lot of discussion about GDPR, certainly I imagine in District 71 and certainly in District 91, a lot of confusion. We will be planning a webinar, special webinar on GDPR compliance. That's planning to go out in July. I will send out more details to everybody who was on this webinar this evening once I have it all set up on the system. because in addition to just having a little thing, it is a good idea to have a bit of a policy. It doesn't have to be complicated, but that webinar is going to walk you through all of the things that your club can do in order to be GDPR compliant. And apparently Rory, who has been working with my presenter for the GDPR webinar, is telling me that that is not enough to make a guest book GDPR compliant. We need to have a statement saying what we will or won't do with the guest book and the details and the personal information. So like I say, GDPR, I don't think it needs to be a minefield, but I think people feel like it could be. And to that end, the district are putting together a GDPR compliance webinar in July. I know Rory has been working with the person who will be presenting that, Jason Thompson. So rather than get bogged down in GDPR right now, I think we shall continue. There are no other questions on that section, Laura, if you want to go on to the last part of the ACE formula.
Thank you very much, Barry. Step 3, convert. We hear a lot about conversion. Well, you hear a lot about conversion if you work in marketing like I do. So conversion is the key. Conversion is king. So this is where we're going to talk about how you turn a visitor into a member. So what does convert mean? This is where you ask for the sale and close the deal. Those are sales terms. What you want to do is make it simple for people, make it easy for them to join your club. Have paper copies of your membership form. Have your bank details available so that they can have the BACS details so they make a BACS payment simply from their bank account doing online banking. And what our club has actually gotten is some other tools, which I'll show you in a moment. So in person at your meeting, you want to have a membership form on hand. You want to explain what their membership pays for, what it doesn't pay for. Some clubs charge a meeting fee. So if your club takes money at the door for each meeting, make sure that that's clear. Calculate their fees if they join on this date and when it will cover them for. We give them our BACS details for our club, but we've also got a contactless payment machine. We use one from a company called iZettle. And this has been excellent because people pull out their card, they go, actually it's not tap, they have to put their code in because it's more than £30. And this is so simple. And then put your email on the form, the membership form, if you're giving them a paper form so that they can contact you if they have any questions. Online, you can follow up the discussion you had with them at the meeting with an email saying how nice it was to meet them, how you hope they will join the club. Here's a PDF of the membership form, and here's how you can pay. Simple. Don't make it too complicated. Don't make it too long. Give them one next step to take. I'm going to ask you, I won't ask you how you're going to convert visitors into members because this is something that's going to percolate for you for the next little while. What I would like to do is just go quickly to the tools, an overview of the tools that are available from Toastmasters that you can use. So Membership Magic, you want to create a warm welcome. Once they've joined, you want to have some sort of formal induction ceremony. Give them a pin, a ribbon, a member certificate. Make sure they get a mentor. I think it's very important. And have some sort of orientation session. You could have one periodically for new members. You got 2 or 3 or 4 new members. Have a little session. Explain how to sign up for roles at a meeting, how to get speech slots, this kind of thing. And there's a very good new member induction kit from Toastmasters International. So take a look at that. We bought some for our club and they're very good. They go through the whole process where you can have an induction kind of interview where you find out what their goals are. Your VPE does this. And so that you can assign them a mentor who really suits what it is they're looking for in Toastmasters. Media coverage. This is something I think is really good here. It's another tool at your disposal. It's typically the purview of your VP PR. To generate things, to generate media releases and stuff that create media coverage. But media coverage can reach prospects at every stage of the thing. They may have attended a meeting and forgotten that they went, forgot when the next one was. They see it in the newspaper, think, oh yes, that's right, I meant to go back to that. What you want to do is keep in mind that people are at various stages of a Toastmasters journey. They can be this is a great acronym from a copywriter called Ray Edwards. He talks about them being open. They can be oblivious. They can be pondering coming to Toastmasters. They can be engaged. They may already have come, or they might need Toastmasters and be actively seeking it out. So public relations is ideally, what we're talking about here is media relations. That's sort of one subset of public relations, and that's where the PR person in the club directly contacts the newspaper, the radio station, magazine, whatever it is you've got in your community. You'll probably have at least a couple of those. And a media release is the best way to share news. The great news is Toastmasters International on the website, they have a number of templates for various types of events and announcements. A great one this time of year is to announce your new slate of club officers. Who's your new president? Put in a quote. It's a very standard kind of format. The club elected a new slate of officers. These are their names. And so-and-so's the new president. You can send out a picture with that, the club officer group, or just a headshot of the new president. And this is nice local news, a nice local news story, and it's regular, happens every year. So it guarantees you one go in the local newspaper. You have an open night, there's another go. If you have 2 open nights a year, there's 2 more goes. You put out your club contest winners, there's 2 more goes, or 1 go, depending on how many contests there are. So you can see there are all these different episodes. There's all these different opportunities to generate media coverage. And these news release templates on TI are excellent. We have a number of them on the District 71 website, and they are under resources. So if you scroll down under resources on the top level menu, it's d71toastmasters.org. And that's a sample. That's what the page looks like on toastmasters.org. Whoops. One of the things I've just gone through all of these. Oh, and a club anniversary is another good one. Anything unusual or surprising, one of your members publishes a book, put that out. Somebody wins some sort of prize. We had somebody got in the Toastmasters art exhibition. A piece of art they had done was submitted to Toastmasters International, and it was Toastmasters artists around the world. So we put in a news release about that, and that got out. Got some coverage. So let's recap. 1853. Okay. The ACE formula: attract, engage, convert. Get them through the door, engage them in a conversation about Toastmasters, and then convert them. Close the sale. What questions do you have? Barry, over to you.
Thank you, Laura. Fantastic. So one question we had from Florian while you were speaking was whether you track your guest to member conversion rate, and maybe perhaps how you would do that.
That's a great idea, Florian. We haven't done that in my club. I would have let's say we don't have a system for doing that. I would have personally a list of people I've invited, how many of them have come, how many of them have come as my guest, did I pick them up and drive them, did I follow up by email, these kinds of things. So I'm very good at following up, and I would say I probably have about a 60% conversion rate personally. I converted maybe more people who weren't my actual friends before, but these are just people I've roped into. Had a lovely speech at our club on Wednesday. The speech was called "What Does It Take?" And I had no idea this was coming. Our club member our VP membership this year, gave a speech, and she talked about, she's a solicitor, she talked about being at a grey networking meeting event with a bunch of grey people having grey conversations. And this woman this exotic woman walked in a colorful outfit with a colorful accent and said, "You must come to Toastmasters." And she talked about that being the beginning of her transformation. And she pointed at me when she was giving her speech, and she said, this exotic woman came in, and she's talked about how Toastmasters has just opened up all these doors for her. And so I think, I have no hesitation in speaking to people about Toastmasters because I know the potential that it has to transform their lives. She is a better solicitor today because of what she learned at Toastmasters these past 2 years, and I'm delighted for her.
Excellent. Florian apparently has a spreadsheet that makes tracking this number very easy. And Florian, I think you've just signed up yourself to deliver a masterclass on that, the nuts and bolts of managing these kind of numbers and tracking these kinds of things. I had a question, but just for everybody's benefit, we'll probably have time for one, maybe two questions more at max. Please do, if you've got a burning question, ping it into the chat box. While I'm waiting for you to do that, I'm going to ask my own question. And that question is, right at the very beginning, Laura, you talked about maybe seeing managers and leaders delivering appalling presentations and how that's a great conversation starter. And I'm just curious, Laura, how do you go up to your boss and say, that was terrible, you should join Toastmasters, and not get fired?
Well, ideally, you're so good at what you do, they wouldn't dare sack you, Barry. They knew it would be business suicide to let you go. Worse, to lose you to one of their competitors. So that's the best way to be in a position of strength. Seriously, though, what you want to have is you don't necessarily want to make somebody uncomfortable and create problems for yourself at work. It's much better to do this with people who are sort of quasi-strangers. But I use it more as a talking point. I turn to somebody and I say, oh, isn't it a shame? So-and-so, I know they're doing their best. They could do so much better if they went to Toastmasters. Oh, you don't know about Toastmasters? You've never heard of Toastmasters? Gosh, it's amazing. And then you just tell them what Toastmasters is. And then you get them to go because you don't want them to be embarrassed by the way so-and-so should have just been embarrassed, but didn't have the good sense to be embarrassed.
Thanks, Adrian. Adrian would like us all to follow Chiltern Speaks on Twitter. I think anybody on here would appreciate how difficult it is to build up a following, and I will surely do that after the webinar. Somebody called Nike, just do it, I suppose. He or she is saying that one of the things that he has seen or she has seen is when it's the same people week in, week out giving speeches and performing roles. Do you have anything to add on that, Laura?
Well, the best thing you can do is to have a VPE who is scheduling people in a kind of a fair and rotational way. You have to have enough people in your club so that you can all take turns in different roles. I don't think if somebody hasn't been at a meeting, in a couple of meetings, I don't think they should be able to show up and give a speech. I think you've got to earn a speech slot. You can't just give speeches. You have to be grammarian, be timekeeper. You've got to take on all these other roles. And so you have to have a VPE with a sense of non-partisanship, that they're not giving speeches to the people that they like or who are their friends, because speech slots are precious. If you think about how many potential speech slots there are,
absolutely.
It's not a lot.
Absolutely. Laura, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us this evening. For everybody's benefit, this is part of the continuing series on the third Sunday of every month. Next month, we have Dr. Nigel Osland. He is the District 91 PR manager, at least until the end of June. So by the time he is presenting to us, he will have moved on into a new role, but he will be sharing what he has learned over the last year with us next month. I'm quite looking forward to that. It's all about the number of touch points that a person typically has before they do convert. Nigel has used what he's going to be teaching us in his own businesses, built up massive followings and made a lot of money along the way. And whilst Toastmasters might not be about making money, we are about building clubs and changing lives, and the same tools can be used. So please do register if you haven't already. Hopefully you've already got an automatic registration to this whole series. Laura, once again, thank you very much. And everybody, thank you. Have a good night. Laura, stay with me for one moment.